Hi guys, it's Will and welcome to another video. In today's video we're going to be discussing my top 10 leveling tips and tricks for vanilla World of Warcraft. So to begin with, we've got spawn points for graveyards. Res sickness doesn't become a thing before level 10, which means that before level 10 you can spawn at a graveyard without incurring any death penalty. In some cases we can effectively treat this as a free hearthstone. Let's say you're out questing for example and you want to get back as quickly as possible. It's far more convenient for you to collect a couple of mobs and let them kill you instead of running all the way back. Yes, you will still incur a damage penalty on your armor, but considering how low level that armor is, does it really matter? I personally love this method because it allows me to get my quest in as quickly as I possibly can and move on to the next one, instead of being that guy that ends up spending another 5 minutes trying to run back to the quest point. At number 2 we have faster travelling for low levels. My next tip is quite a complex one, but let's assume here for a minute that you're going to play character all the way to end game. This means that you can effectively plan out things beforehand. Now this tip works for both the Horde and Alliance in different ways. It primarily applies to the Orcs and Trolls for the Horde, and it also applies to Night Elves for the Alliance. At some point you need to pick up the flight points for each of the major cities in your faction. The chances are for the Horde you'll be thinking about doing this while you're getting ready for Ragefire Chasm, and for the Alliance Night Elves it'll be thinking about while you're travelling from Darnassus. For the Horde I actually recommend that you get the Thunderbuff flight path as soon as possible before you even start questing. There's actually a number of reasons for this. The main reason is this route is actually quicker, and the second one is by the time you finish it you'll actually be level 2. As you can see here, I'm using a secret passage that actually exits out of the Orc starting zone and is going to allow me to run into Ratchet as quickly as I possibly can. You need to be mindful when jumping off the rocks, as there are mobs in the water below that will kill you if they see you. A pro tip for Horde players is that if you see this waterfall, occasionally a weapon crate will spawn underneath it. This will end up giving you between maybe 5 to 8 silvers worth of items that you can vendor straight away and allow you to actually have a bit of a kickstart with the character. As soon as you're out of the water you can then pick up the Ratchet flight path, run straight to the Barrens and get the Crossroads one, the camp down at the south of the Barrens and then into Thunderbluff. The entire trip took me 17 minutes, and then as soon as I got the Thunderbluff one I was then able to Hearthstone back to the starting zone at level 2 with a couple of extra silvers in my character's pocket. For the Night Elves there's a trick where instead of running from Menthil all the way down through the different zones you can actually swim across towards Ironforge, and then you can see here on this particular map that there are 2 points of interest. The first point, which is here, you're going to be able to drown yourself and you'll end up spawning into sort of the Ironforge graveyard area, or if you want to go to the Dwarf starting zone for example, if you drown yourself at this point you'll end up being ported to the graveyard at the Dwarf starting zone. This is something that's really useful if you want to play a Night Elf for example and level from level 1 with your friends. You're actually able to do this method fairly quickly and then you'll be straight back into their starting point. So the next one I want to talk about at tip number 3 is instance quests for vanilla World of Warcraft. So here's a really good example, right? So for the Horde you've got Ragefire Chasm. It takes maybe 30 minutes to clear the instance, and on an average run you'll net about 3,400 XP at around level 13. That is only of course in my experience, don't take that as granted, don't take that as fact, that's just my experience based on the run that I did. So I got 3,400 experience for that run. I had all of the quests for the instance that I needed, right, and handing all of those in, it took maybe 20 minutes give or take with flying between the various quest points, and that netted me 10,400 experience points as well as several green items. With the quest that basically means that I got 3 times more the XP for my time investment. Now we are going to be taking a bigger look at instances in vanilla World of Warcraft in a later series, but the emphasis on this guys is that you need to get the quests for the instance. The instances just don't match up on their own to standard grinding or standard questing. You need the quests. Not only do they give great experience, but you also get a series of really good items. On top of that you also get things like money and the rep, and they're just all around really good for your leveling experience. So definitely get all of the quests for the instances that you do. So tip number 4 is grind mobs between quest point A and B. So for example, instead of just doing a quest as you normally would, let's say you've got to kill 10 mobs of a certain type. Once you're done with that quest you then go and turn that quest in. Don't do that. Instead, once you've got those 10 mobs killed, keep killing the mobs on the way back to the hand-in. That extra XP is really going to help. The time investment that you spend killing those is going to be far greater than if you just run from quest point A to B. It's really good for you guys to do that. I have covered this in another video which I'll leave a link in the description somewhere. Thoroughly recommend you check that out if you want to see the maths behind that. So tip number 5 guys is rested experience. I can't put enough emphasis on rested experience. I see so many people who don't do this, but whenever you log off, make sure that you're either logging off in a city or an inn. Now for every 8 hours that you spend resting, you get 5% of a level. Now for most of us, that's going to be something like, just sleeping, for example. You wake up in the morning and you've already got 5% of an extra level waiting for you in rested experience. Now there's a maximum of 150% of a level may be earned. So that's 1.5 levels, guys. In other words, you can basically leave your character resting in an inn or a capital city for up to 10 days. If you have a really time intensive job, or you're going on holiday with the kids maybe, you can leave your character in an inn or a capital city for 10 whole days, and that character is still going to accrue rested experience. Now of course, if you do log off outside of an inn or outside of a city, you're still going to become rested, but the accumulation rate for that rested experience is much slower. Okay, it's about 25% of what you get if you log off in an inn or in a city, and that means that you only get about a bar of experience, about 5% experience in 32 hours. It's really worth the extra effort, guys, to go to the inn, to go to the city, and make sure that you log off in them. Tip number 6, guys, this one's going to be fairly basic, but for those of you who are new to vanilla World of Warcraft, this is still going to be quite useful. You can only train every 2 levels. That's every even level, guys. So at level 2, 4, 6, 8, etc., you can only train at those levels. Don't bother trying to find a trainer, at level 3 or level 5. Really simple tip there, guys. Don't waste your time trying to find training points outside of those times. Of course, you can still level your professions, etc., but you will not be able to buy any new abilities between odd numbered levels. So that goes all the way up to 60, guys. So at 59, for example, 57, you're still not going to be able to buy any new skills. It's only every even number where you can actually buy skills. And another thing to mention with this, guys, is that if you look ahead of time, so you look where you're going to be in 2 levels time, do you really need those skills? So for example, the warrior, I think it's around level 8, I may be wrong when I say that, but he gets thunderclap. And that ability is not something that you particularly need while leveling. Don't bother wasting your time going to the trainer if you know that you're not going to need those skills in 2 levels, guys. Only make it essential when you actually need to visit the trainer. The time that you're not spent visiting the trainer is time that you're leveling, and that's what we need to focus on. Tip number 7 is to get an add-on called LazyPig. Now LazyPig is great for a number of reasons. I've already done a video on this, which I'm going to sort of link either in the video or the description below. And what we use LazyPig for, guys, is quick vendoring of items and also quick repairs, as well as purchasing things. It's an all-around really useful add-on. The reason that we need this is because whenever we get our armor damaged, it's going to allow us to quickly just hold down shift when we visit a vendor, and it's going to repair our armor. We can quickly sell all of the grey items, guys, in your inventory, so you're not one of those people who are spending like ages trying to find out, oh, do I need this, do I need that, should I sell this in the auction house, or should I just sell this to the vendor? It's just basically going to find every single grey item in your inventory really quickly and sell it for you without any hassle at all. And the less time that you spend vendoring things is more time spent questing. The other thing you need to do while you're at the vendor, obviously, is then restock on food and drink, and also things like reagents. So if you're like a mage, for example, and you need like portal reagents, make sure you buy those. Don't be that one guy who forgets, his food and his drink, because guys, you know what it's like when you're in an instance group, for example, and then there's that one guy who goes out of mana and then doesn't have any drink. Don't be that guy. It's going to slow you down in dungeons, it's going to slow you down while leveling. Always make sure that you're freshly stocked. And this also brings me on to tip number 8, which is assistance macros. So as you can see here, I'm asking this mage if he doesn't mind helping me out with some food or drink. I want to give credit to him here. He's a friend of mine called Grizzly, who's agreed to help me set up this video. Now basically, I've made a series of macros, guys, that I'm going to share with you. You're going to be able to copy and paste each of these macros from the description of this video into World of Warcraft. And what these macros do is effectively allow you to target players in game and ask them for various forms of assistance. Now, what kind of assistance am I talking about? I'm talking about things like food, water from mages, for example, perhaps a buff, things like that. And it's also, I've made an extra one that's going to allow you to thank the people that help you out, and also on top of that, it's going to allow you to return the favor by doing something like buffing, for example. I know I'm playing on a shaman right now, but you're going to be able to modify those. So if you're playing a priest, you're going to be able to cast your own buff in these macros, and it's just basically going to save you typing all of that out every time you need something. Coming in at number 9, guys, we've got learn your secondary professions. Now I know a lot of other videos probably recommend you get things like first aid and stuff, and that is a really good tip to get. You know, obviously first aid is something that is going to be able to get you back into the fight as quickly as possible. You can heal yourself during combat, really useful profession to have. But the other ones are also useful to have as well, and the reason for that is because they unlock quests. In vanilla WoW, quests are obtainable by simply having the cooking and fishing profession. Really good example here, I've got cooking at level 1, not trained at all, and you can see here that there's a guy in front of me called Grub. I'm about to be able to get a quest from him as soon as I ding, and that quest is for people who have the cooking profession only. You cannot get this quest without the cooking profession. Now if I just go to my map here, you can see that I'm in the Barrens, and in this particular quest that he's going to give me, I have to go and get the dig rats from the Dwarven stronghold down at the bottom of the Barrens. There are a number of other quests for this area as well, and this is the kind of thing that really stacks up. Having these professions really helps you level, it's going to help you get those extra quests, and of course every little bit of XP counts. It's something that I really do recommend you get, guys. Very small time investment, and you know, if you want to level these other professions as well, really nice money makers. Obviously fishing, you've got your pools and stuff. Also with cooking, you're going to be able to give yourself food, you're going to be able to give yourself extra buffs. But primarily, guys, make sure that you at least buy these professions in order to get the extra quests. Really useful, and you also get quite cool little extra things along the way as well. And now lastly, guys, for tip number 10, we've got make yourself a bank alt. Make a level 1 character that you can quickly get to one of the main cities. In this particular video here, you can see that I've managed to make a level 1 orc, and I've got him to Ogrimmar in just under 7 minutes flat. And the reason I do that is because now every time that I'm on one of my alts, I can quite easily just go to the nearest mailbox and send over everything that I want to sell on the auction house, instead of having to manually fly to the major city every single time. You know, it's just much easier for me to find the nearest mailbox, put that item or those items, you know, maybe you've got a stack of silk or a green item in the mail, and get it over to that character. It's going to save me time, you know, I'm not going to have to get the flights, I'm not going to have to Hearthstone, etc. It's much easier for me to just go on the bank alt and deal with it all there when I want to. You know, personally, I tend to do that once every week. I'll just go on the bank alt, have a clear out of the mailbox, sell everything on the auction house. You know, it keeps my downtime to a minimum with traveling. I can just quite happily dump my stuff in the mailbox and carry on questing. I've also then got all of my gold consolidated on one particular character, and what that means is, you know, if I've got an alt or something that needs a set amount of gold, I always know that I can go to my bank alt and then just transfer that gold over. Really simplifies my money problems, really makes it quite easy for me to just keep my characters up to date with everything, keeps my bags free and empty, and allows me the maximum amount of time possible that I can just be out there questing and leveling. That brings us to the end of the video there, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this and found this useful. Hopefully you've picked up some new tips and some new tricks to help you level a bit quicker in vanilla WoW. If you liked this video, please help me out and share it with your friends. I do appreciate it, and again, guys, thank you so much for all the support this channel has received, and as always, I will see you in the next video.